Morning guys, and welcome back to another episode of Barham Engines. Right, so first job of today guys is to clean up with the wire brush etc the pre-crossflow block. So obviously we've got the wire brush on the sides. Inside, you see inside here on these two I've done or nearly done compared to these two where you've got a bit of surface rust, nothing major. It's just to make sure that all the sort of debris out of there and all the excess rust that could come off in the oil. Obviously we're going to give it a good blowout. We've had to drill out the oil gallery plugs, unfortunately. So I think these are quarter BSP. So I've ordered some of those from Burton, along with a few other bits. We're going to get this one painted. Now Malcolm, I did chat with Malcolm on the phone yesterday, and he said from watching our video on the Pinto engine, he does really like the blue. So we're going to be doing this block and the cylinder head in the blue. Obviously the black sump and rocker maybe, and the silver front cover. So yeah, should look really, really nice at the end of it. But yeah, just going to carry on with the wire brush for a minute, guys, and then we're going to give this a lick of the blue and see what it comes out like. So guys, end of the day, been really busy with the pre-crossflow, trying to sort stuff out for the Pinto, but they're both in the same colour now. This is all cleaned up, and here it is. So you can see it's in the lovely blue, although on camera, and Malcolm did notice this, it probably looks a little bit of a different colour on the camera. Probably looks a bit lighter, I'd say, on the camera. But yeah, beautiful colour, lovely in the flesh, as they say. We got the stud and nut kit down the bottom for the mains, stud and nut kit on the top for the head bolts, for the head. Say the liners are in. Now, we've got a brand new crank on this because, like I said to you before, when we built the last engine for Malcolm, we were going to put this brand new crankshaft in with the Trick H-section rods that we've got under that blanket there, all laid out. But obviously, we didn't put it into the Cosworth engine. That one's all built. I'm going to be taking that up to the track day with us Saturday, and Malcolm's going to be taking it from there, and I think he's going to sell that. This is the Trick one. We've got the Trick crank. Now, problem number one today, I wanted to put the crank in, although we haven't balanced the crank. I wanted to put the crank in, just do a dummy build with the pistons we've got. Here's the pistons, because I just want to make sure that I've got the correct jut out for the pistons, which is 0, going to run them flush. Malcolm supplied some crank bearings, all in standard, obviously because we were putting a new crank in it, but because it's got the steel mains, it's been bored out to plus 15 thou, which they did do from Ford originally anyway, but this was at standard, it's been bored to 15, so we've got to have the plus 15 on the external standard on the journal size, so can't do that. Next thing we come across, Malcolm supplied a lightened flywheel, which he did buy quite some time ago. So we bought a ring gear, didn't even look to be honest. We bought a ring gear, fitted that yesterday, so we've got a lovely flywheel there. But we've noticed that it is a 9-bolt flywheel, whereas the pre-crossflow crank is a 6-bolt, so we can't use that either. Now Malcolm's got one at home, a standard one, which he's going to be bringing along with him Saturday. We're going to bring that back. We're going to lighten it slightly, face it, clean it all up, so that'll be as good as new. And then he's getting a clutch. He's ordered the clutch, which is a twin plate one, I do believe. He's going to be sending that to us, should be direct from the supplier, and then we can get that crank assembly balanced. By then, the bearings will turn up. There was a few other bits like flywheel bolts, obviously the gasket set we haven't got yet, thrust bearings we were missing. We can use the big ends. So yeah, as soon as them bits arrive next week, guys, we can get this one, basically the bottom end built. The cylinder head is with Charlie at CTM being ported. Once that's back, we can get that painted, finished, and plonk that on and time it up, and it's all pretty much done then. Pinto, same sort of scenario, still waiting for the com rods from the customer. We've got a couple of bent rods there, so he didn't want to go the H-section ones. He wanted to use original, so we're just waiting for those rods. As soon as we get them, the crank is in. The crank's in, all done, and this thing is ready to be sort of dummy built and do the piston heights as well. V8 BMW, we're still waiting for the bits mainly from Genuine. They should be here. Well, they should have been here really, I think, this week, but they're all going to turn up next week. So next week, fingers crossed, we're going to have these 3 engines with all the bits ready to go so we can get them built. The M54 engine, still waiting for the go-ahead off the customer. I think it was slightly more expensive than he expected, but I spoke to him on the phone, I had to sort of educate him that unfortunately with this type of modern motor, although he got a ring issue, and really that was, I suppose, his only issue, once you strip these things, you cannot put the old bits in. You've got to put all new. You've got to put new mains bolts, big end bolts, all the gaskets and everything else. So, yeah, obviously we can only re-ring this. We cannot get the oversized pistons, not available, although they do list them from Marla, but you can't get them. So the only thing we can do is re-ring this one, deglaze it, put a disclaimer on the invoice. He knows that, but yeah, still an expensive job, unfortunately, for the sake of a set of rings. So, right then, guys, thumbnail and title. So, got a bit of an update on the MGB. So this is the one from a month or two back that we had the car back here, had an issue with using or burning oil, smoking quite badly. So we had the engine in bits and come to the conclusions that the rings had wore quite badly and definitely hadn't bedded in. The cylinders were quite glazed. So, you know, to keep our customer happy, obviously we put new rings in it, managed to hone half a thou out of the bores because we'd sort of bored them with a little bit of leeway, and put it back together. Everything's absolutely fine. Now, we did have a letter yesterday off the actual owner of the vehicle. Bear in mind, our customer was the garage that the owner had took the car to. And as you all know, if you watch our previous videos on it, it was all a bit weird, really, because although we were going through the processes and rectifying it, and, you know, we got an engineer in here to do a little report and what have you, for some reason, the garage that were dealing with the car were right on the back foot and they were very defensive. In the end, they ended up being quite rude to us. For whatever reason, the only reason we can think is that obviously there was, if you watch the previous videos, there was a problem with the PVC valve, and they obviously hadn't checked it before they removed the engine. Whether that was an issue, I don't know, but it may have been something to do with the fact that the carbs were definitely not set up right and it was over fueling like buggery. So that could have contributed to it bore washing, who knows. The oil did smell very fuely. Anyway, had this, when we sent it back, the owner did ring us up before we sent it back saying, can you just send the carbs and everything in a box and he'll put it back together, the garage. We said, well, we'll put it all on loosely, just to sort of, well, not loosely, but just to get the car running, make sure it does run and doesn't smoke. Sure enough, it didn't. So we give them back on the expectations that the garage was going to take it all to bits and sort it all out and put it all back together. Anyway, that's how we left it. Well, we had an invoice yesterday from the owner saying that he took it away from there for whatever reason, sent it to another garage, which were a bit of an MGB specialist, because it had an oil leak still on the side casings. Although we'd replaced the gaskets with those nice thick uprated rubber gaskets, it was still leaking. So he sent it there. We had this, he sent us the invoice from the garage for getting on £400 for replacing those gaskets again, load of other things. He said that, you know, the inlet manifold gaskets weren't renewed and all the rest of it. So I said to him, I've sent him a letter rather than an email because I haven't got his email address. I've sent him a letter, posted it yesterday, saying, look, out of goodwill, obviously if it's still got an oil leak, then that's fine. We will pay this company's invoice out of goodwill, obviously. But he did state in his letter that he's going to be getting an invoice from the garage, that the car, you know, our customer, and he's going to be forwarding that to us. And I said in my letter, this little invoice here, I don't mind paying that, but I'm not going to be paying that other garage's invoice. I said for two reasons. One, it was sort of up in the air and unsure as to what the problem actually was, whether it was faulty parts or whether it was the fact that the carbs weren't set up right, and that's caused the thing to overfuel and wear the rings. Who knows? Whether the PCV valve had something to do with it. I said, so really, we've sort of, that could have been a problem, and we've rectified the engine. I said, although when we had the vehicle, there was stuff that they didn't do or missed out, like bolts missing, etc., which we never went on about. We certainly haven't sent them an invoice for. So unfortunately, we won't be paying that garage's invoice. So that's where we are with it, guys, at the moment. I'm sure I shall get a response to that, but please feel free to let me know in the comments what you think about that and whether you think that was the right thing to say in the letter, and what you think we should do about that. We've got a little job down here, which I'm just in the process of. Now, these are a set of wheels off what I do not know, but they're from a car from James at Chops Garage. So James gave us a little visit in the week, dropped these off, which he has been promising for quite some time. I said to him I can maybe do something with them. And as you can probably guess, guys, the paint in the middle is absolutely fine. Nice white paint. But on the outside, where they're obviously diamond cut, the lacquer comes off and it just goes horrible. So that is absolutely nasty. It's probably on one of his sales cars, so it's got to look half tidy. But it's, you know, as with anything, when you're trying to sort of make some money on the car, you don't want to get these things reconditioned. I don't suppose it's worth it, really. But he said, do you reckon there's anything you can do? And I said, of course. He's helped me a lot out in the past, so bring them along and I'll see what I can do. So I've done 2 already, guys. What I'll do is put them in the big lathe, obviously holding on the back edge, and we just take the valve out there, and I've made a tool to fit in here as good as I can, and I just turn them out. And I've done 2 here. You can see them. They look absolutely lovely now compared to what they were like. And hopefully James is going to be a happy bunny with that. But I'm just setting one up in the lathe. So this is the big lathe here. What we do is we have to sort of manipulate the tool and obviously the cross slide here wherever we need the angle, and we just we get the correct angle, and then we just sort of wind it back with the correct speed and feed. Do it by feel, really, just so you get a nice finish. So I'll get this one set up, guys, and show you what it's like cutting. So you can see, guys, I've plopped them as best I can. They are a little bit wibbly wobbly, to be honest, so it's just a case of plopping them as best you can. You can obviously see I've got the cross slide set. I've got this cross slide here set on the angle, the inner angle, the same line as the inner angle. We sort of move the tool, so we're only cutting on the front edge of the tool, and we just wind back on this stop here until you put a little bit of a cut on, and then we want to wind this one back by hand. What I normally do is, if you watch the far end, you can see on the far end where it's cutting the wheel, and we just basically do it until we've cleaned all that corrosion off. Because I've done the other one, I've actually scribed a little line down here in line with that one, so I know what the angle is. But that angle now is in line with that front face, so that's the same as that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tool out, put the tool acrossways, and cut it down with the tool sort of facing that way now, and just get that till it's cleaned. There we go, guys. See, that's all cleaned off now and looking very smooth. Well, that's it for one day, guys. James's wheels are all done. You can see down there looking absolutely fresh. Hope he's pleased with that, and I hope he's grateful. It's 10 to 6 and I'm still here. Of course, it's Thursday. We're going to be back in the morning, me and the boys, loading the trailer up, well, loading the trailer onto the van, loading the Cosworth pre-cross flow into the back of the van to take to Malcolm, and then we are off tomorrow to do our track day for Saturday at Castle Combe. But we are going to be stopping off tomorrow at the Haynes Motor Museum. So really looking forward to going around there. I haven't been there before, so might take you guys with us, see if we can find anything interesting. So see you in the morning, guys. Well, guys, that's it. It's late Friday morning, and you see the trailer's loaded up on the back of the van. We're heading off now. We're going to go to the Haynes Motor Museum. So look out for Monday's video, guys. We're going to take you with us and show you the BMW as we see it as soon as we get there. So have a lovely weekend. But until then, take care, guys.